Hey guys, welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing. Appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check the video out. And guys, today's topic is I want to talk about when you should change your fishing line and when you should change your hooks in terms of like when are they, overused, worn out, when have they outlived their usefulness. And this is something that definitely adds up to more fish at the end of the year because having, hooks that needs it replaced or changed and a line like that, it's going to cost you fish eventually as far as losing fish or breaking off. And I'm going to give you guys some good tips and advice on some things to notice with those things that'll tell you it's time to make that change here. Also, guys, before we get started, I want to share with you guys, you probably heard me talking about this. We're in the middle of jerkbait season at the time of filming this video, January. My favorite jerkbait for January, guys, is Megabass X Nanahan plus 2 and also the X Nanahan plus 1. This is a 3-inch long finesse jerkbait. Fish it on 4-pound test Seagar and Vizex line. Just throw it around bluffs and riprap bank and points. Excellent bait for the wintertime fishing on jerkbait fishing. So I'll put it in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to order a few of them. I think you guys will really like that. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's reached out to book an on-the-water lesson with me. If you're wanting to learn how to fish the nanahan or any other jerkbaits, guys, now's the time to do it. Shoot me a private message on my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, and I'll get you the details on a private on-the-water lesson, so I really appreciate that. Okay, two different things, guys. When do you know when to change your line? When is it time to change a hook? Now, there's a couple different things on the line. I want to talk primarily about fluorocarbon line because, you got braid, fluorocarbon, and monofilament, and each one of these apply to what I'm getting ready to tell you, but most people use fluorocarbon line quite a bit, like on their bait casters. Some people use braid on spinning. It's the same thing here. But here's some things that will happen that cause you to need to change your line out. First of all, when you get a backlash in a bait cast reel, or if you get a loop in your spinning reel and you cast it and you get that bird's nest and everything with the spinning reel, or say for example you got a little loop in your bait caster and you cast it and you hear it make that noise about the lines coming over that loop, or if you get a backlash period where you're actually picking it out. If you get any type of a fluff or any type of a backlash like that, it's a good idea to either change your line out completely or at least peel all that line off to where it's below the point of where you fluffed it. Because what happens is when you fluff a reel and when you backlash a reel, you have a tremendous amount of line friction and burn that you may not even notice on there, but it weakens the line worse than getting even frayed with a rock. Many times, guys, I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten a backlash and I've picked that backlash out where it was hard to get it out of, and 2 or 3 casts later, I'll make my cast and my line breaks 30 foot up the line. It's, where that weak, heat friction took place on there. If you get a bird's nest or a backlash deep within your spool, like I'm talking like 30 feet into your spool, you just need to re-spool your whole line. I know it's a pain in the butt, but it's going to cost you if you do that. Now, if you've got a little bitty overrun that hasn't burned or friction, that's a little bit different thing. Just peel it out past the point where it's curled up a little bit, because if you get a backlash like that, a lot of times the line will have a little curl in it or a tight spot. Peel it out past that, retie or cut it off, retie above that. So that's a really big thing with that. Now, the next thing with that is if you've had a line that has sitting out in the sun a lot. UV rays from the sun will definitely weaken fishing line, any type of a fishing line. It will deteriorate it pretty quick. If your line's been on a spool sitting out in the heat or the sun, or if you've had a reel spooled up for 6 months and it's been sitting out in the sun, that's definitely going to weaken it. That's definitely going to weaken it. Just overuse in general, just casting and that repetitive casting over and over again, if you fish a lot's another thing with that. And then you also have to pay attention to things like, your guides, like your eye guides on your rod. There may be like a little nick in there that's putting damage on your line that you're not even noticing. You may have a situation where you get a little bit of a fray, far up into your line that maybe came across a limb or something. So it's a good idea to check your line periodically for any rough spots or any visual defects. And if you just don't think that you have any problems with it, it's a good idea to change your line out every 3 or 4 months, something like that, especially with fluorocarbon line and monofilament line. Braided line's a little bit different because braided line, you can just reverse it, because the thing that happens with braided line is it loses color quite a bit after time, after just casting it. You can just simply reverse it and put it on a different reel will help out. Also, guys, same thing happens on braided line. If you get a fluff or a backlash with braid, it's also going to burn that braid and weaken it too. So really keep an eye out for that. Now with hooks is a little bit different thing. Back in the day, guys, we didn't have chemically sharpened hooks. I carried 2 or 3 hook files with me, and guys, I was sharpening hooks all day long. It's like the old hooks we used to have that were not chemically sharpened, you would bend the point on them pretty easy, and you'd have to resharpen them. I became really good at doing that. But now with the chemical sharpened hooks, you don't really have to do that. The main thing that you have to realize with hooks, as far as when they need replaced, is there's 2 different issues you're going to have with them. Number one is you're going to dull that chemically sharpened point. And once you dull that chemically sharpened point, the hook's not really good anymore. It makes a big difference if you dulled it on a rock, or a lot of times, say for example on a jerkbait, if you fished it a long time and those hooks have been flapping against the sides of the bait, just as you're using it, a lot of times that'll sort of dull that hook a little bit. So constantly check the hook with your finger. It should be prickly sharp. It should be super sharp with that. The other times that you need to change a hook out is if you happen to bend the hook a little bit. Now, the bending of the hook, it doesn't take much, because guys, if you get hung up like on a limb or a rock or something like that, or even if you have a light wire hook, a fish can do the same thing. If you notice any type of a bend in that hook, change the hook out, because the integrity of the hook has been weakened. It's like, don't try to bend a hook back in unless you're just fun fishing. Just replace that hook. And also, guys, keep an eye out for the barbs. Make sure the barbs don't get smashed down on that. But that's just a few things just to remember. It's just simple things like that will keep you from losing fish, or it may cost you some fish down the line. And a lot of it just depends also how serious you are. If it's not that big of a deal to you, like you're just fun fishing and you don't care if you lose one or break one off, then may not be that big of a deal. But if you're serious about the fishing, or you fish competitively, that's some advice I'd give you on that. So anyway, guys, really appreciate it. Talk later.